Namaste. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga Conference 2026. Sacred community, walking the path of love together. I'm Happy Jack, founder of Happy Jack Yoga, and this is our second annual gathering, bringing together 40 or so monks, scholars, musicians, spiritual leaders, really from around the world. We opened up the conference last week from Harvard Divinity School, and the closing session is at Oxford Center for Hindu Studies. And together we're exploring really how devotion, how bhakti, how spiritual community supports us on the spiritual path. As of now, we got over 6,000 beautiful souls registered, including Harvard students, practitioners of bhakti, yoga teachers, and spiritual seekers from around the world. It's meant to be a space for spiritual friendship, for shared inquiry, and heartfelt conversation. If you'd like, please share in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from today. Wherever you're joining from, thank you for being a part of this global Sangha. It is now our honor to introduce our speakers today. We'll bring them on the virtual stage. Please welcome to the virtual stage the Mayapuris. Amazing, amazing. So beautiful to have you all here with us. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga Conference. So I'll just read a little bio here, and then we'll jump in. So the Mayapuris are a vibrant, traveling party of conscious musicians. Raised in the mystic traditions of ancient India, the Mayapuris fuse the soul-stirring experience of mantra music with exceptional musicianship in both Eastern and Western styles. They have toured across 6 continents, propelled by their thunderous rhythm and soaring vocals. The Mayapuris are a sonic force in the world of conscious music. Their sound moves the body and ignites the heart. Together, today we are excited to welcome Bali, Kish, and Vish for conversation on Brotherhood, Kirtan, Bhakti, and sacred music. Friends, if you are ready to welcome the Mayapuris, throw your arms in the air and loudly chant, Haribol!
Haribol.
Mayapuris, so honored to have you here with us today. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga Conference.
Thanks for having us, Haribol.
Haribol. So truly, it's amazing to have you. And what we love about your story is that it didn't begin with fame. It didn't begin with big albums and big stages. It began with heartfelt, deep devotion and brotherhood. And just before we dive in, I have to say, I consulted with the president of your fan club before this session. And that would be Danya. So she gave me some insights that we're excited to really explore today. So let's go back to the beginning. So Vish and Bali, I heard that you guys were playing Legos together when you were 9 years old. And Bali and Kish, you guys are literally brothers. And so the question, how did this lifelong friendship evolve into this traveling kirtan band sharing bhakti around the world? How did it evolve?
We as devotees, we feel like we're all extended family. Wherever you go into a temple and you have that sacred kind of experience of connection and belonging. But sometimes you get paired with special souls on this journey, and we live in Alachua, which is, I think, the biggest devotee community maybe in the Western Hemisphere, because there were schools for kids and we were kids, and Vish had been in and out between going to Gurukul and Vrindavan and Mayapur, and my brother and I, Kish, we moved here in '89 and have been here since. And we were friends. We were just kids, and we grew up in these, going to the temple being integrated into our daily life. Like when we go to school, your first period, or where you would log in, would be at the temple program, and everyone would attend. And then at a certain point, all the kids would get up at the same time and then head over to the school. It was integrated into our daily life. And I remember, we were 3rd grade or 4th grade, and Vish led the kirtan in the temple, which for us was just like that doesn't happen. Like kids don't lead. It's like the adults lead and the kids are like maybe in the background playing cartels or jumping around like little monkeys. But he was the first kid I'd ever seen lead the group puja, knew all the words and all that stuff. And it was like, oh, this is, oh, he's a Vrindavan boy. He got this from Vrindavan Gurukul. And yeah, we played together. He's 2 years older than me. So back in that day, he was like a cool older kid and he had all the Legos and we were playing when we were just little. And then we all went to Gurukul and schools. Kish and I went to Mayapur Gurukul together. Vish went traveling with Lokanath Swami doing kirtan around the world. And when we all moved back to Alachua after spending significant time in India, kind of cultivating our, like doing the austerities and the tapasya and all the rituals and all of the kind of the growing experiences and all of the adventures that we had, being kind of like immersed in this bhakti culture and being trained in ashram life and doing lots and lots of kirtan. And then we came back and that's all we wanted to do is to do kirtan together. We would just hang out in our apartments, at the temple, at festivals, getting kicked out of spaces. And like we got kicked out a lot before getting invited. It was like, can you please take this? You can do that just over there. Or like, you got to close, we got to shut it down. It's, 10 o'clock at night. So but we were just kind of hungry for that connection and that kirtan. And slowly, what brought the band together and made it happen was we started doing mridanga presentations, which they happen in Mayapur, where you get a bunch of students where they do like almost like a recital. And there were these drummer dancers from Manipur, and they would do that, but make it a show, make it a theatrical dance with moves. And so we got our Mayapur based like Sri Khol Bengali drums with the rhythms and the kardals, and then took the kind of theatrical dance component from the Manipuris. But we were from Mayapur because that's the homeland of Kirtan. It's our ancestral spiritual home. And we made the group Mayapuris, and we started doing that just for 2001. Radhastami was our first time, so a quarter century ago, 25 years ago, where we all got together and put the gear on and did a choreography. And then from there, it was like, oh, we'll do this at New York Rath Yatra. Then we'll do that. And then it became like mixing what we did mostly, which was kirtan. And all three of us are drummers. And then from there, it just grew into like connecting that with like the musical world, with fusion, with yoga music, with kirtan. Like there's a kirtan movement outside of our kirtan movement, which we kind of plugged into. And I think because we had been doing kirtan, even we were there at that point, like let's say 25 years old, but we'd been doing kirtan seriously for 10, 15, 25 years, meaning like with intention, practicing the instrument. So when we came in, it kind of created an impact, I think, in that world. And then the band and the albums and the recording and the concerts and all that came from there.
That's awesome. That's amazing. You guys, you may not know it, but actually, Vish, you're my cartel teacher. Art of Kirtan, for anyone who doesn't know. And Kish, I tried playing along with your flute. I'm not quite at that level. Saw a little video of that. But it's just so cool. Like basically 4 decades, you guys have been family, brothers. What have you learned about brotherhood, about friendship, about, just being on this path together in this way? We'll keep jumping around. So either Vish or Kish, maybe Vish because you're off mute right now.
All right. Well, this practice that we have, and this, I'd call it a process in a way that we have, is so cleansing to the heart and allows our true spirit to shine through. And it's Sri Chaitanya, the founder of the Kirtan tradition. He says that when we do Kirtan and when we do this practice of Kirtan, of call and response chanting in congregation, it cleanses our heart and it brings us in harmony. It brings us in harmony with our truest self, our deepest self, and brings us in harmony with our nature. And keeping a band isn't always easy, and being with a bunch of drummers isn't always easy, and opinionated and strong, strong-willed and strong-minded people. But through all these years, we really have somehow been brought back again and again to the real objective, which is to just purify my own heart, right? And as many and as much as possible share that practice and that process with others. So it's been protective in a way, because we've had each other and we've been touring on and off for quite some time, and finding ourselves in sometimes pretty wild situations, and to have each other, to hold each other accountable when someone is kind of in their head or in their ego or whatever, and being called out. And it's not always like, it's interesting because kirtan is such a joyful, and it is a very happy process. But we're talking to Happy Jack, so it is such a joyful, blissful thing. But I also find it oftentimes the what comes around it, and the going to the places, or arranging the programs, or just making our music together. It can be, in a sense, things can come up, and I often find that it's in the things that come up that we grow, that we actually grow as devotees, as bhaktas, as musicians. When we're making a song and there is a part of it that isn't working, and rather than just like, oh, let's just go over it, we're like, okay, let's dig into that part and make sure it all lines up, and make sure it transitions smoothly. And so it's in those transitions, whether it be musically or whether it be in life, that I think we grow, and somehow or other we've found a lot of patience and tolerance, which is also what Sri Chaitanya says, that and to come with a mood of humility, and at the same time assertiveness. It's all a process that I feel, holding a band together and holding a band of brothers, this spiritual brotherhood that we share. Actually, a lot of people think me and Keisha are brothers. They're like, oh, you and Keish, you're the brothers, and I don't even correct that. Like, yeah. I don't even, just,
I'm the odd one out.
I love that. I really appreciate your honesty and openness and vulnerability of like the dynamics of relationships. And actually, another thing that Danya mentioned was that each of you have a very different personality. I know Bali a little bit, being on retreat with him, but I don't know the others as so much. Get different personality, I understand, but you all love kirtan. And so I'd love to hear, how do those differences actually make the music and the devotion and the seva even stronger? So maybe we'll jump to Keish.
Sorry, can you repeat that? How do the differences in what?
Yeah, so how do the differences in your personality, how does that actually make the music stronger? And you can
Oh,
even speak to like, what is the role that each of you have within the band?
um, well, variety is the spice of life. So, having everybody having their personality and the individuality is the beautiful thing about this offering, and that's one of the reasons uh, why I love kirtan so much, because if you're in a room with just say 100, 150 people or 1,000 people, you're doing a collective offering, but everybody is on their own path, and everybody knows internally what they're going through, and so it's like a joint um, journey, but an individual one at the same time. It's a very beautiful thing, and that individuality is heightened in Kirtan. Like in Kirtan, everybody who participates is integral in the collective offering. So sometimes it looks like, you have the chanters and the singers on the stage, and then you have the audience, and there's like a separation. But the whole process of Kirtan is to dissolve that, like dissolve the stage, and like that we're doing this together. And I guess the reason I'm giving that more generic outlook and before talking about our specifics is because sharing kirtan and mantra and meditation, there's a lot of conversation of quieting the mind and this energy of oneness, which is beautiful. But when you can, in everybody's individual capacity, unite in one intention, it's so beautiful, right? The just the different personalities. And in our line in the Bhakti tradition, it mentions how each jiva or each soul has a particular quality that no other jiva in existence has, and finding that particular quality and giving it in an offering, that's the goal of life, right? Wow. Finding that individual, and so when you, that's like on a macro level. When you're like within a group, I think you start to learn people's strengths and weaknesses, and you try to fan the strengths, and then when you know that there's a certain weakness, you try your best not to poke that weakness, even though sometimes you want to, right? Because either out of frustration or out of like encouragement. But if we understand, in a synergistic mood that, what we're doing is bigger than ourselves individually, then every act, every thought becomes seva. It becomes service, right? It's like the whole process of kirtan and even devotional service is removing yourself from the center and putting, right, Krishna in the center. So within our different types of personalities and different types, we put our seva to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission in the center of our activities. So, and then it becomes very easy because you see everything as a service. And so, yeah, so in that process, the variety of, the different qualities that, these special souls that you're doing this service with have, you actually see it as something that is adding joy to the process, right? Joyfully perform your duty. So it's interesting because when Vish was talking, it reminded me of a letter that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he writes, and he talks about Vaishnava Sangha, or Sangha, what we're doing right now, like, and within communities, and that Sangha is a blessing, but it can also be seen sometimes as a tapasya. Tapasya meaning austerity, right? Because Krishna puts certain people in your life at certain moments, to help you grow, right? And sometimes those people help you see the mirror in your heart of, things that you have to develop, and that can be very vulnerable, or it can be a kind of a wake-up call moment, and sometimes you don't want to see those things about yourself. But I would say, within our brotherhood, it's definitely more of a blessing than a tapasya. And because personally I see that and I carry that, then just being grateful for Krishna putting these different these souls that have different qualities, and that have strengths and weaknesses, and to have this wonderful experience together. And I think that within I guess I started general and then kind of going down because you're talking about what roles in the band. Like, like I mentioned, you know people's strengths and weaknesses. You know this person is naturally good at, speaking and networking, and then this person is more detail oriented, and this person is analytical in this. It's just kind of an ebb and flow type of thing. You start learning the strengths and weaknesses, and then it kind of unfolds, and with time, hopefully, you can figure it out instead of it being like an uphill battle.
That's awesome. I love that. What a just a beautiful perspective on life, and that you can see this. Your relationship is part of your sadhana, like seeing it as an austerity, like as a practice and offering. Something else that Danya shared was fascinating, and you mentioned it as well just now, Bali. This idea of that you guys were doing kirtan, when it wasn't glamorous at all. Kirtan, as you said, Bali, kind of happened in the back corner of the room. And now all of a sudden, these same kirtan musicians, you guys, are being flown around the world, leading to tens of thousands of people. So you've seen this transformation. And I guess we're just curious, what was it like doing kirtan before it was popular, before it was celebrated? What was the mood? What was it like for you guys?
I think it was just about getting the girls.
Um, you know, it's funny, how it was back then, in our small, tight-knit circles with the people who are really connected and intentionally, like they have what we call like ruchi, which is like a taste for the holy name. What it looked like is actually what we aspire for and what I still prefer now. That's my favorite. It's super nice, and we're so blessed to be able to, be in Sydney and go to India and Europe and for festivals and concerts. But if you asked me what do you want to do? Like, what is your favorite? It's, a handful of people in a small little place, and you're all on the same wavelength, and it creates a certain alchemy, a spiritual alchemy that can't be reproduced in any other setting. I think we still, from time to time, are able to tap into that. Unfortunately, as you get older and there's so many more responsibilities, it's like the only time we hang out is like in concert. Like we'll be like, we should hang out. And then it's like we catch up on a flight to Dallas. And that's like our hangout time because we have 6 kids in between in the band. Vish has 3, I have 2, Keisha has 1. So it's kind of like, and they're all young. So it's a lot, we're in that, it's work and projects and that. So, our ability to sit down and connect with the friends, and many of the people from that era are still our favorite kirtan people to do. We were 19 and it's like, this is my favorite group of friends to do kirtan with. And now I'm 40 and it's like still the same group, still the same 5 or 10 people. And all we want to do is do new tunes and vibe off each other. One person's playing, the other person's listening, and everyone is just deeply connected and singing with their hearts. Obviously, it's an honor to be able to do that and facilitate it for the hundreds and thousands of people. But that us, where we were just kind of we were little buds, and now we're maybe in the, 40 years into the process, maybe there's some blossoming happening musically or spiritually. But then we were just we were teenagers. But that little, special dynamic that we had of doing kirtan without anybody around, just us, and obviously everyone's on their own spiritual path and how dedicated they are and what their level of taste is. I usually find myself riding the waves of my friends, and I find that rising tide lifts all ships. I'm pretty much pretty low, spiritual vibration wise. But then when I'm with them, I'm like, oh, Vish has a taste for the holy name. I go and I'm like, they're like, you want to do kirtan? And I'm like, who's there? What time is it? Can I watch, do I have childcare? Is there going to be are there going to be nice instruments? Is it going to be comfortable? Will there be electrolytes? And will we be hydrated? Vish will go in a park with the randomest group of people. Nobody's watching. There are no cameras. There's no stage. Many people see the Mayapuris or see these kind of like prominent, experienced kirtaniyas in these kinds of settings, but you don't really see the I'm alone in a park, or I'm at a train station and I'm just singing by myself. And so when I get to hang out with someone like Vish or Kish, who's like, he is the like spiritual pillar of the group, as far as like his dedication and his service attitude to the holy name, to integrity and spiritual practice through study. There's no question. So for me, I get to hang out with a person who has probably the greatest namruchi of my group of friends. Then I get to hang with somebody who has spiritual integrity and discipline and has done work to actually grow. So I just want to connect with that. And that's what we were doing when we were younger. It was a little bit in kind of like a crude stage. And then now with a little bit of years and wisdom, you get a little bit of refining. And and the best is when we're able to be in these settings with these hundreds of people, but it's like right now, it's not about anybody. It's not about the sound system, the PA. It's not about it's just, we are lost in the kirtan and in the holy name in this moment. And it's just the three of us, or it's just the five of us or the kirtan party, that little capsule. It's like a protected little sanctuary of spirituality and connection, brotherhood and sisterhood, because we do kirtan with our entire spiritual family, and we have peers, but we also have people that are older than us. We also have the next generation who maybe they grew up listening to our like I was saying before we connected, we were trying to show somebody our song so that they could accompany us on violin, and she said, I've been listening to this since I was 10 years old. Like, you don't have to explain the parts. I grew up on your music. And I was like, oh wow, so we get to do that in that kind of setting, and it's the best. It's the best feeling in the world. I don't know what else to say.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. I'd love to hear, I guess the questions were going to be around, these big audiences, but I love that you're sharing the kind of the intimacy and the power of just like a few devoted people. And so if we come to Vish now, what, from leading kirtan, whether it's in a park with a few people, whether it's, with your brothers and sisters, what realizations have come to you about the power of kirtan?
Wow. That's a deep one.
You got 90 seconds. Go.
No, you got time.
Just sum it up. Sum it up, the whole thing up.
Yeah. I think the deepest realization is that this is our shelter. That that the world is going through, our external world and our internal world is always going through so many ups and downs, and there's something that each one of us needs, that is steady, that is the continuous, that is the constant. And for some, that may be sitting in silence and breathing, or reading some scripture, or whatever it is for different people. The continuous in my life, the first sound that I heard was kirtan. My parents chanted kirtan to me when I was born. And I often say that the last sound that I hope to hear is also kirtan. So that let this be the continuous, whether it be birthdays, whether it be funerals, whether it be in peace, times of peace or times of war, whether it be in happiness or whether it be in great separation or longing or distress. May this be the constant. May this be my shelter. May I just come back to this again and again. And whether it's in, and the aspiration is for it to be in the Sangha, in the association of others that also are dedicated to this, and that this is their constant as well, and to be with them and to share this with them. And the more that I think we all truly believe that the more that the world can take shelter of this beautiful practice that's joyful, that's easy, that's the surest. It's the most sure way of self-realization in this age. And it's not that I feel that at every moment when I chant, and it's not that I believe that at every moment of my life. I get very distracted, and I watch Netflix, and you know, but 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 when I come back to it again and again, and after a little bit of time away from it, it's always like, oh wait, what am I doing? Let me come back to this. Let me sit at my harmonium. Let me grab my guitar. Let me try to tune this instrument for divine sound and divine love to flow through in the form of sound. We're all Krishna plays the flute, right? Kish is our flute player in the band. He plays the bansuri. He's self-taught. Bali's the drummer. He's self-taught on the mridanga, and on the harmonium. No one taught. No one taught us really. I took some lessons over the time, but it's just all come from, we've just tried to keep tuning this instrument. I was going to say Krishna plays the flute, right? And the flute, it has 9 holes, and this instrument also has 9 gates or 9 holes, and the love that the divine feels, the love of the whole universe, any love that exists is the love of the divine, and that love, it flows through breath from his lotus lips and flows into the holes of the flute, and that flute, that sound, that love turned into breath becomes sound vibration, and that sound vibration is all of the mantras and all of sacred sound in existence. So we just keep tuning ourselves, this instrument, to be instruments that are played by the divine hand and by the divine breath and divine love.
Wow, it's such a gift. Matt, your whole life is like immersed in this practice, and it's so beautiful to have such intentionality. And so, I'm newer to Bhakti, but understanding in Bhakti, the music, it's not really meant about a performance. Rather, it's an offering, as you guys were talking about. And we'll jump to Kish. How do you stay? Because I've seen some videos, and you guys have fun on stage. And I'm not saying you're performing, but you guys are definitely all out having fun. How do you stay connected to like that devotional mood when you're playing? To bigger crowds, to these types of experiences.
Think about that for a second, but kind of, I guess it's continuation of what Vish is saying. It's really about perspective. I remember one time, I was young in Kirtan, like Bali was mentioning, kind of our upbringing, our sadhana since we were a kid was like, our check-ins for our school in Vaishnava Academy was Guru Puja, right? So 7 a.m, we started our school by chanting and dancing. And that's where the teachers would check our attendance. And so, it became a practice in our household too. 30 minutes a day, me and Bali would chant. My dad encouraged us to do that. And there was a lot of learning in that as well. And I remember one time I was, I don't know, maybe like 12, 13. And, we're doing Kirtan, standing. Everyone's dancing, and then the deity curtains. I don't know if you've been to a temple. There's beautiful deities of Radha and Krishna, or Gaura and Krishna Balaram. They were closed, and then they opened, and everyone hit the deck, and it kind of disrupted the flow of the kirtan. And I remember feeling, I was like, we're interrupting the kirtan, why did everybody pay obeisances? And of course I did too, out of respect. And then I had that thought carrying with me, and then a senior devotee, a Prabhupada disciple, and it was years later, I remember it happened again, and it was almost like a distraction of the kirtan, even though it's, you're also honoring something that's divine. And then he said in a group, and I was there and I was listening, he said, actually, when you're performing the Yuga Dharma, um, everything else becomes secondary. So if the deity curtains are opening or closing, you know, it you don't have to stop the kirtan. You can continue. There's no offense. And I remember it like it being like a light bulb moment, like answering, because there's some moments that you have, like Vish was mentioning, it's not that all the time that you feel this connection with the holy name, and it can be glimpses and it can be taste, but sometimes when you're seeing the kirtans and the devotees, and naturally you see, sometimes people are putting their backs to the deities and stuff, and then it gets really heady, and I get it, um, but naturally you see there's like a mandali where the mantra, where the holy name is being chanted. There's like a mandali where everyone is focusing in the center of where the chanting is happening, and then it's just like a natural circle. And so sometimes you get the realization of, you're like, that is Krishna, right? Krishna is non-different than the holy name, right? Nam namakari bahudani just sarva shaktis, where that the potency and the name is non-different than Krishna. So if you can have that perspective shift of, wow, I'm associating directly with Krishna, but actually feel it and experience it, not just being theoretical, right? I mean, what's more blissful than that union? Right? There's nothing more blissful than that. So how can you not be joyfully performing when you've reunited with Krishna, right? So whether if you're on the stage, whether if you're in a small crew, whether you're in the temple, or it doesn't matter. If you can have that perspective shift, if you have that experience, and I'll share one more story. I've never shared it publicly, actually. And it's quite an intimate story, but it's an experience that shook my heart for years. It was like in Vish, do you remember what year we were in Birmingham?
2010.
It was 2010. So it was, like 16 years ago. And there's a very special guest, His Grace Pankajanri Prabhu. He came to the Birmingham Festival, and the Mayapuris were invited, and I remember just the kirtans were so special. Doing there's still a melody that like Vish chanted at that time, and we were all doing it. Bali was playing such amazing mridanga that even Ayendra Prabhu, somehow he saw it through like a video, and he commented on Bali's mridanga playing. There was just so much magic happening. And on the last day, there was a kirtan happening. I think even Vish was singing. And, sometimes it's just, there's so much excitement. You're like, man, I can't just sit down anymore. I got to dance, I just like bounced. And we were dancing. And for some reason, like it was like Pankajanri Prabhu, there was a natural circle manifested. And it was me and him in the middle. And then he looked at me, and so he was chanting. I mean, he was dancing, and so then I lifted up my arms, and we were just both circling around. And then we got closer, and it was almost like we were like in a one-arm embrace of each other, and we kept on spinning, and then it became an embrace. And during the kirtan, I'm hugging this very advanced devotee, and I don't know exactly what was happening internally in his heart, but something very special, because it was almost like he went in trance. And then when we were hugging, in my ear, he was just chanting, Gauranga, 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 but in a very trance-like way, like almost lost, like Gauranga, Gauranga. And, it entered into my heart, this really special feeling. And we naturally, I don't know what happened, like we fell to the ground. But it was interesting. I was conscious, and I remember he's falling, and I'm like, oh no, I have to catch him. He's an older person, but it was like he fell like as light as a feather, right, onto the ground. And then, when we fell to the ground, all of these devotees came rushing in to help to pick him up. And so I got out of, I let the devotees enter, to pick him up. and I stepped outside of the mandali, and just an uncontrollable feeling, a overwhelming feeling of love just entered into my body, into my heart, and my body started trembling uncontrollably. But I didn't want to like make a scene or anything, so I just folded my hands. I got kind of lost in the crowd, and I just started like controlling my breathing, and like my shaking, like I just, subdued it, and then went back into the kirtan. But I remembered, that feeling, because in our text, it talks about ecstatic symptoms and everything like that. And there's a whole scientific process of experiencing Krishna prema. And it's very scientific. Rupa Goswami broke it down under the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And one of the ecstatic symptoms that you can, in kirtan, in chanting the holy name, in remembering Krishna, is trembling. And I don't know why, I'm not qualified at all to have experienced something like that, but it's through the mercy of the Vaishnava, right? And so there, in 2010, a very intense experience, something like a samskara, right? An impression in my heart, in my mind. It just gave me so much faith and confidence that what we're doing is not whimsical. It isn't sentimental. That it is a real process. You're connecting with Krishna's holy name that's non-different than Krishna, and it enters into the hearts of very special souls, and it can be transmitted. And I experienced that, and I'm very grateful that I experienced that, because I feel like through the process of what I was going in my personal life, I kept on remembering and experiencing that faith-giving experience that I can say like saved my life. That has kept me connected, that this is very real. So whenever we do perform kirtan together, it isn't, for me personally, it isn't like, okay, we're just going to go there and be on a stage and, do this and, like, let's go wow the people. It's like, no, we're doing something that is part of the Yuga Dharma. And so that is, yeah, a small... Okay, so I'll mute my mic now because my daughter just walked in. But
That was beautiful. Wow. Keish, thank you so much for that story. That's so, so powerful. It's like, oh my goodness. But maybe we'll jump to Bali here. Kind of connecting it back with the conference theme. So the theme is sacred community, walking this path of love together. And so we're hearing that like kirtan is such a powerful way to create community. What is it about the chanting? Like literally, what is it about the chanting together that connects people? That the experience that Keish just shared, and maybe others here who are listening have had some taste. What is it about the chanting that creates that connection?
I think that we're in the current age is the age of Kali, and every age has had its process. And this particular age, the process is kirtan. And I think a qualifier is specifically Sankirtan, like the Yuga Dharma, the Dharma for this age, is Harinam Sankirtan. So that Sangha Kirtan is really important, because Kirtan really just means glorify, like Kirti means glory. But when you do it in union with others, and maybe Vish can give some like sastric or scriptural or wisdom based references to why. It's like if I sing and I'm able to generate a particular spiritual experience for myself and the people around me, but then when the two of us sing, it's more than the sum of our parts. So if I give like 5 points of spiritual Shakti and Vish provides 20 points of spiritual Shakti, so that should be 25.
With our powers combined.
But with our powers combined, it comes out as 55. So I actually had this conversation recently with Padmanabha Swami, where I don't know why in community, in Sangha, you become greater than the sum of your individual spiritual capacity. You can have 3 people who are kind of like okay spiritually and maybe have some intention and some sincerity and some integrity, but in that moment together, it becomes surcharged with a higher level than individually our spirit should attain. There's something, it's, I think also sometimes even sonically, when you have, which when we record, sometimes you can record three individual isolated vocal tracks, but when you have three people singing into one microphone, the way that the sound vibrations, the waves, how they hit and bounce and resonate, it creates a unique sonic experience. So I'm kind of just speculating, and I'm maybe there's a lot of smoke that's being blown, but something happens when people are together, that it becomes super ignited with spiritual shakti. And what my brother was talking about was one level of that, which is when you have somebody who is really spiritually enlightened. Like we walk on this planet with beings and humans who are spiritually, who they're realized in their spiritual path. And when they're there, all of a sudden you'll see like I said, a rising to everything, the whole consciousness of the entire whatever room, concert hall, shrine becomes uplifted by that one person's presence. And there have been many throughout history. So that, I think we all can kind of, we get it, like this sage basically that my brother is talking about. It was a person who, like, it's like this personality is like from a history book. If you read about Pankajangri Prabhu and his service and dedication to Radha Madhava and Mayapur, it's not of this world. Like there's like humans, then there's well-intentioned, then there's spiritual seekers, and then there's like the highest tier of dedication and full surrender and devotion, pure love of God. That like these souls, it's like, of course, when they hold you and they look in your eyes with that pure, they're channeling purely divinity. And so that makes sense. Then how wow, I was so uplifted. But how come when my Netflix watching, basketball playing, homie from the neighborhood, how when we get together, still somehow that perfection is able to be channeled, even for small, brief glimpses, of this, like this connection with divinity, even though we are so imperfect and we're filled with so many things that we got to work on and so much integrity that we lack and sincerity that we're still aspiring for, and we're still just like kind of polluted, contaminated vessels. But somehow in this moment, that I don't know, I can tell when a sadhu or a sage with somebody who's enlightened, and I'm like, yeah, you're channeling right now. When it's just brothers, sisters, friends, and we're all imperfect, but somehow find like little capsules and moments of perfection and sanctuary in Sangha, I don't know. It's a mystery. Maybe Vish has some insight. Maybe there's some reference somewhere as to how people who, it's the power of the holy name, of course, that obviously Krishna is non-different. So maybe that's it. Like, because in that moment, the grace, there's like Krishna, the story of Damodar, there's like the one part, like the rope was always just 2 inches short, and that those 2 inches are like 2 finger widths. One represents the intention of the devotee, and the other is the grace of the divine. So it's perhaps that we have some intention, and then Krishna fulfills the remainder. But yeah, so
That's
Well, can I add something to what Bali is saying? Because he just reminded me of something that Sachinandan Swami recently told us at a Kirtan festival in Dubai, where there was like 10,000 people who came to that festival. It was an amazing festival. And so he was speaking about the power of Sankirtan. And one of the things that he was saying was that Sankirtan, the beauty of it is that you can't do it alone. It's a special service, a special sadhana that you have to do it with other jivas, right? And then he was going on to say that what's special about Sankirtan is that that collective benefit of when everyone comes together, of like what Bali's talking about, it becomes your experience, and you receive that benefit, that in an experience that maybe you couldn't have done alone, because remember, you can't do Sankirtan alone, right? So this experience, this benefit that you get in this collective setting, you're experiencing something that maybe you can't reach alone, right? And so that becomes your heart's experience, and it becomes a motivation to want to experience and grow that further. So I just wanted to add that to what you were saying, Bali.
Nice. I love that. It's so powerful. Just kind of thinking of many of the audience here from the yoga community, imagine they've never experienced a kirtan ever. And so what would you say? What is something, imagine they've never seen it before. What would you say to them, to give them, whether it's the courage or what kind of sitting on the sidelines, doing some yoga asana, doing some meditation, what is the next step? What would you offer to someone who hasn't experienced it yet? If we go Vish.
Well, right now we're so lucky that we have so many ways to appreciate kirtan, whether there's probably at this point millions of hours of YouTube videos where you can tune into different kirtan festivals that have gone on. There's also live kirtan channels from Vrindavan and Mayapur, and different places of the world. Alachua, we have our own live channel where every single day the kirtans are broadcasted online. So there's SoundClouds, there's recordings. So that's one way that, and then there's professional albums and professional recordings that Mayapuris make, and that many of our friends make. I mean, kirtan is getting to the Grammys at this point. It's on the radar there. So that's one way to tune into kirtan. Probably there's a kirtan, different types of kirtan, but there's probably a kirtan going on somewhere close to you. The prediction of Sri Chaitanya is that kirtan will happen in every town and village. And we are trying to do our small part to share kirtan. So yeah, find out if there's a kirtan going on, and if there isn't a kirtan going on nearby where you are, well, it's actually a very simple thing. All you need is a voice, which each one of us has, and you have hands to clap. And if you haven't gone to Art of Kirtan and practiced the kartals for a couple of weeks, or learned how to play the harmonium, or learned how to play the drum,
The sizzle technique.
kirtan is something that can be the sizzle technique. Yeah. Yeah. Kirtan can be very simple. We've been doing it all our lives, so our approach to it comes from a very deep tradition of Bengali Indian classical, inspired by Indian classical music, inspired by Qawwali, which is like Sufi music, inspired by Bali and Keisha's Latin roots, and my punk rock background, and reggae, and it's all like hip hop. We bring it all together and create these soundscapes that can be quite maybe intricate for some ears, but it can also be so simple that people come together, whether it's just couples, or as Bali and Kish said, as families, or just as friends coming together and just playing a simple bongo drum. That's how Prabhupada, he didn't even have a mridanga when he came to America in 1965. He found somebody donated him a bongo drum, and he played a bongo drum, which it's just like right, and he started kirtan in the park, and people started bringing their instruments and their flutes and their whatever, and they probably were all off key and didn't know, but he kept one melody just going Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's like the melody and and people who were around him at that remember that one melody sung for hours to the heart. So it can be so simple. And if you desire and you want to go deeper and deeper into the practice, then the sky's the limit of how refined the practice can become.
That's amazing. I love it. So we're definitely going to link to Art of Kirtan, to Mayapuris, just so we can connect with you guys and experience the music online. But
I
just
see someone ask a question. Are we doing questions too or no?
we'll definitely
Oh,
take a question. Yeah, is that Bhavagrahi, that one? So yeah, I don't get into kirtan like I do japa or reading by myself or in a group or sitting in classes. Will the love for kirtan eventually grow? You want to take that one, Kish?
I mean, I can start it. I think that Bali and Vish can also have wonderful insights about that. Um, it's interesting because sometimes, because kirtan is a artistic expression,
Yeah.
uh, people will get um, self-conscious, right? About, oh, singing, I'm not a singer, or, and also maybe on an external level, like what I was talking about earlier, it can look like a sentimental practice. People just like singing together, and, some people are more gyanic, or like, they like the meditative aspect of japa where they can like control their breath and their mind, and then the reading aspect. And but I would say that it's really important to connect with your heart. And singing, I mean, you see in all of these movies and love songs and Disney songs and Bollywood songs, it's just always like they're singing to their loved one. And so if we have a perspective shift of who are we singing to, right? Like we have a lost relationship with the divine. But if we're connecting and we're singing a love song to the divine, and we can open our hearts in that way. I mean, naturally, a lot of people like to sing in the shower and sing here in their car when they're driving. So, singing is a natural expression. I was in one of the presentations of Hari Parshad Prabhu. I don't know if you've met him, uh, but he's an amazing scholar, and he he creates and composes Sanskrit poetry, and he does it in an amazing fashions where even like in its written form, it creates drawings and stuff. It's amazing. And one of his presentations is saying that everybody is a poet, but we just don't know it. And then he goes on to explain how, because we get lost with our connection with our heart, then we think that we're not poetic or artistic, but actually every soul is artistic and poetic, because every soul is experiencing and can feel from their heart, and expressing what you're feeling in your heart, if you can tap into it, it becomes poetic expression, right? So what I would say to the devotee who's asking the question is try to connect more with that poetic, artistic, expressive, yourself, which you definitely have. And have a perspective shift of when you're chanting, when you're singing, it's like you're expressing like a love song of gratitude or separation or union, with the divine.
That's awesome. Just shift the perspective of, it's clearly you guys have been doing this for a number of years. I'd be so curious to know, I want to be respectful of your time. Say you guys are traveling, whether you're, New York City or you're somewhere in the world, you're on a train. So of the three of you, which one of you is most likely to just start out a kirtan on the tour bus, on a train, like just get it going? Which of the three of you would? Cool. And then another quick question, maybe it's obvious. What's your favorite mantra?
Mahamantra, no.
Maha Mantra. Would you, and we don't have the three of you in the same room, but for the two of you, it'll kind of work, I think, audioly. Bali, would you pick up percussion? Vish, would you sing us just a couple of rounds of Maha Mantra? Some here listening have never heard it before, and we just love to.
Original sound. All right. Let's do a
Sure.
quick little something.
Keish will contribute energetically.
Yeah. I'll mute myself and clap on beat.
I just want to also just share that we are currently recording an album. This will be our third full-length album. We've recorded a few other LPs and singles. This will be our full-length album. We're working on trying to get it done this year if we can get back in the same place again. And just trying to make our offerings, and super grateful to this platform for allowing us to share our passion, our music, our journey. Really grateful to you guys, and we'll just share a couple of minutes of kirtan with all of you.
Please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare. Jack, get on the kartals. Get on the kartals. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Prema, Prema, Haribo, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Kishan Bali's dad is on here too, sending so much love to my uncle Prema. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sing wherever you are. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So beautiful. What a beautiful way to start the day. We're seeing shared in the chat. Thank you for over-delivering and just spending this extra time with us. Just final words. What would you leave us with? A lot of new, sincere, spiritual seekers yearning for something deeper, for connection. You gave us a taste today. What words of wisdom, what would you offer us, newer seekers on the path? A couple words from each of you, just a couple words from each. Bali.
Vish said it perfectly. You are a full instrument. You have everything you need. God has blessed you with a voice, a breath, a percussive instrument. All that it requires is time and a little bit of intention. And the secret and the destination and the journey, they're all there within you. Krishna's waiting.
Oh, I love that.
Find your Sangha and do Kirtan.
Simple. Boom. Love it.
So I don't know if I'm opening the message and I'm just going to read what Prema said to everyone. She says, I will quote to everyone who hasn't experienced Kirtan to follow George Harrison's advice that the taste is in the pudding. Honey is sweet. If we don't put a finger on it, how will we know how sweet it is?
That's it. Well, we just got to stick we just put our whole hand in the honey jar and we got a taste. And thank you all so much. Can't wait until we meet in person. As I said, I've met Bali and really look forward to crossing paths, but we're blessed. We're grateful for your presence, and keep doing what you do and keep spreading the light and the love. And
are you in New Jersey?
I'm in Canada.
You're in Canada.
North of Toronto. I was in Boston for a few years, but I'm up in Canada. So Florida's sounding nice and warm. So at some point I'll have to come down that way.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wishing you all an amazing rest of the day. Weekend. We're back here next week with Bhakti Yoga Conference 2026. But let's send all our love, gratitude, blessings to the Mayapuris. Outstanding. Wishing you an amazing rest of the day, my friends. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Haribo.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.